even from the top row.
I can see a better view.
Even amidst all the pageantry, Austin Tebow is easy to see and even easier to hear.
Austin!
He applauds one player in particular, Austin Ledbetter, Bryant's star quarterback.
He idolizes him.
In fact, during games, the 9-year-old boy lives vicariously, tickled by every touchdown.
There we go! Better!
Perturbed by every incomplete pass. He is one of the savviest sports fans you'll meet.
And these are my baseball cards.
It just so happens this Austin also has autism.
It's hard because you see all of the other kids. Like, I will go to school sometimes and I'll see him on the playground and he's by himself and nobody's playing with him, but I have to remind myself that for him, he sees the world differently.
But Austin is no different than the rest of the town in rooting for the Hornets.
This is my jersey.
He asked me to take him to a game this year because he started Pee Wee football. He wanted to see how the big kids do it, and after I took him, that was it. He was hooked. And it just took one game for him to be obsessed with Austin Ledbetter.
Word tends to spread nowadays, and the parents of the starting quarterback told their son about his biggest fan.
I know I was in that position when I was a kid. I was wanting those kids to, show me attention.
So 3 weeks ago, the elder Austin arranged for a picture after a Friday night game.
We tried to make it the biggest surprise because we knew how much he'd really love it.
It was almost like the seas parted. The crowd just moved, and there he was, and Austin was just like, oh my gosh,
My dream came true.
It turns out that quick hello is just the beginning.
He made a deal with me that if I watch his games, he comes to my games.
The very next day, Austin appears at Austin's Pee Wee football game.
Just to see that smile on his face, kind of melted my heart, and it made me feel really good.
Every single time he made a play, he ran off that field and he high-fived Austin Ledbetter. And then after the game, he left my side and he went over to Austin Ledbetter, and I assumed he was saying goodbye, but he asked him to be his best pal.
He wanted to be my best buddy. I kind of fell in love with the kid.
Bridging the gap to a child with autism can be challenging, though the star quarterback seems to be unnatural. Austin's parents notice new confidence.
Sometimes he just has to work a little bit harder, but to now not want to give up just because of this one person is amazing.
3, 2, 1,
From the top row to the top of his world.
Victory! 35-21!
Austin used to wait for something as simple as a high five from his idol. Friends go a step further.
What's up, man? Buddy, how are you? Hey, you want to get your mom to get us a picture?
Yeah.
Austin and Austin embrace after every game. Then there's a surprise.
Oh! I like it.
Just as a puzzle piece for autism is placed on his helmet, Austin and Austin fit.
Hey, man, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Growing closer by the day.
They've got something so simple and common, and that's football.
Austin Ledbetter will be seeing his little face often.
Even on this foggy Friday afternoon, there is clarity for Scott Williams. No matter how long he trains, 6 days a week for the past 7 months, and no matter how much faster his pace, in the bigger picture, time is not on his side.
I either do it now or I don't do it.
He's preparing to shear one of the South's scenic byways, all 444 miles of the Natchez Trace Parkway. From the mighty Mississippi, it meanders the Magnolia State, through parts of Alabama, ending in Nashville, Tennessee.
When I was a kid, I didn't live but 2 miles from the Natchez Trace, and my family would do family rides, and my dad would go fishing, but I didn't know the whole trace.
It's arduous even for the pros.
I'm not really a cyclist. I'm a guy who rides his bike.
It's absurd considering Scott's state of health.
I will be fine until I'm not. That's pretty much the way it is with glioblastoma.
Scott says he started suffering headaches in August 2019. About 4 weeks later, He underwent surgery to remove the most aggressive type of brain tumor, followed by targeted radiation and chemotherapy.
This is certainly one of the ones that we take very seriously, and unfortunately, the prognosis isn't what we want.
Median life expectancy for someone his age, 61, is no more than 18 months. Scott is 19 months past his diagnosis.
As time went on, I started to ask the question, why me, in a different way? Why am I the guy who isn't having horrible trouble? So it allowed me to think, okay, there's a reason why me, why I'm the guy who's healthy. What can I do about that? Like Tim McGraw's song, Live Like You Were Dying.
So staring at his own descent, Scott shifted gears. He transformed his 444-mile pipe dream into a fundraiser.
It's a way that I can use my good days for other people.
He boldly reached out to one of his idols for help, Scott Hamilton, the famous figure skater and a fellow brain cancer survivor. His foundation is dedicated to funding research.
I knew I needed somebody to help me with the logistical end of it.
They called this meaningful mission Erase the Trace.
Just to be perfectly honest, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to get it over. This has been all I've been doing for the past 7 months.
Statistics say Scott should have never reached the starting line. Off he goes, riding 50 miles per day, crushing the hills, heat.
I'm feeling pretty good. Didn't get as much sleep as I would like.
And his own internal challenges.
A lot of times it was really hard. The physical wasn't as hard for me. A lot of times the emotional is hard for me. But it was times like that I would think of the people I was writing for.
Scott dedicated each day to different brain cancer patients.
As I'm passing a milepost, I'll look down and I'll say, who am I writing for the next mile?
On the last day, he rode for Scott Hamilton.
He's always been a hero figure to me, and to hear him say to me that I was his hero was really meaningful. Really meaningful.
Flanked by family, friends, and for the last leg, Scott Hamilton himself. He conquered the Natchez Trace in 8 days. Yes! Quicker than he had hoped. Conquering the trace of aggressive cancer cells that remain in his body is a bit more futile. Back in Little Rock, his time is limited. That is as clear to Scott as this day. With what's left, he'll keep peddling hope.
I just thought I was starting off doing a bike ride. But people need hope. People with glioblastoma and people just doing life. People need hope. People need encouragement. People need to hear a good story.
There's something simple, dare we say, something reassuring about senior night in a small town, where for a moment they even cheer for the cheerleaders.
Go, Dogs, go!
That spent months shouting from the sidelines. What for fans fizzles into background noise is for Kashmir Albright a muffled mystery.
Green and gold, let's go!
Because in a sport that depends directly on precision, rhythm, and sound,
Green and gold!
Kashmir hears this.
It's just loud.
And if she removes her implant, nothing at all.
I can't hear anything.
Kashmir was deaf at birth. Even this Zoom interview wasn't easy.
This might be a little difficult. But we'll do it. That's the way it's always been with us, you know.
Jerry is Kashmir's grandfather. His son left her in foster care, so he came to the rescue.
Family, that's what you do. And she was innocent of all that.
At age 4, she could not communicate verbally.
Point and grunt, mostly. She was an angry little girl.
Through speech therapy, doctors, and hard work.
I really didn't think she'd ever be verbal, but now she's quite verbal at times.
Kashmir came up with the confidence to try out for cheerleading in 8th grade.
Were you afraid to try it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was afraid.
You was afraid?
Yeah, I was nervous.
I was amazed.
Cheer your hearts out.
Christy Law has coached Kashmir since day one.
Everything we do is surrounded by movement, whether it's voices or music or, reacting from the crowd. So what she does is incredibly difficult.
Good job, girls.
Christy says the key is to demonstrate.
Good job, guys.
Hey, you need to make sure that when you're pushing up on that stunt, you're extending all the way.
5, 6, 7, 8.
The rest is her gift for timing,
Put down. 5, 6, 7, 8.
like a Swiss watch.
5.
It's amazing how good her timing is. That's always something I've never understood.
So the music will start and we'll count in 1, 2, 3, 4. And she'll read our lips. And then just from the first few beats, she can keep on beat through the rest of the routine.
Defense, air does defense.
That's hard for people that can hear to do. So it's really amazing.
Even more so
We can't really hear you guys with these masks on.
in this era of face coverings.
Incredibly inspired. I don't know that I would have been able to do that.
On Friday nights in the fall, Jerry watched with pride.
She's my hero, all that she's been through.
Representing the cheer team, Kashmir Albright.
On this Friday night, he's by her side. A reassuring Norm with a senior who makes us all rethink them.
What she's accomplished, if she can do that, most of us can do anything.
Keep your eyes on him.
From the second he steps in, spectators are spellbound by one single sprinter.
I don't know why they're watching me, but I imagine the reason is, to see something special.
Coaches and fans alike mesmerized. After all, not every sprinter is a state record holder and international medalist.
It's not that I feel like they're watching me, it's just the idea that I'm there.
Here comes Hunter.
Hunter Woodall is the first ever double amputee to earn an NCAA Division I scholarship in track and field.
Hunter Woodall, 48-43, a New England lifetime best.
When I see him out there, he looks natural to me.
Doesn't that blow your mind?
Blows my mind.
This whole journey and the whole reason I'm in college is, to show people what's possible.
Woodall was born with underdeveloped fibulas, the bones that reach from the knee to the ankle. Both legs were amputated below the knee when he was a baby.
No matter what situation you're born with, no matter what situation you're in life, you're the only one that can stop yourself from, accomplishing your goals.
As a kid, he competed in countless sports, though he took to track.
When I got my first pair of running legs, it's just this feeling of freedom, and it's hard to explain.
Hunter started sprinting for his high school in Utah.
It wasn't even an expectation for me to succeed. It was just people being content that I was, showing up. The kid without legs was running, and I would kind of get the sympathy clap.
Winning cures all. Woodall went from spectacle to state champion to state superstar. He didn't stop there.
If I want to show people that things are possible, why am I limiting myself?
He wanted to compete in college.
When did you first see him run?
Well, we saw him on video.
What'd you think?
He's fast.
Arkansas was one of only a handful of power programs bold enough to extend an offer.
It was really just a lack of knowledge of the situation. No one without legs has ever ran Division I.
You got to take some risks anyway if you want to be good, right? We were willing to take a risk with him.
From my visit, being on campus, just the whole entire experience just kind of showed me this is a place I need to be. This is a place that, these people are going to fight for you.
The audacity to offer him a scholarship is matched only by his courage to compete in this conference.
He knew coming into the SEC, it's the devil's den of sprinting.
If you want to be the best, you got to go to where the people are the best. You got to beat the best.
Singleton Woodall.
The school helped him receive special permission from the NCAA to compete alongside able-bodied runners. His first season indoors was not as easy. He struggled last winter.
Followed by Kentucky and...
Of course, that's not the first time he's been challenged. His response, first-team All-American honors at the NCAA Outdoor Championships in the spring. And so far this season, a first-place finish and personal best back indoors.
He's an NCAA All-American, and, we just know the sky's the limit now.
His success speaks for itself. It's no wonder this sprinter spellbinds spectators.
If there's somebody in the stands that maybe, doesn't believe in themselves for whatever reason, You know, if they can see me run and whatever it is I do, if that can inspire them to say, like, you know what, let me go do something, like, that's special to me, you know, and that means more than, you know, times, medals, places, anything like that.
If you live in Searcy or you've been to games at Harding, you've met their beloved Buff the Bison. But until tonight, you likely haven't met the man inside. Disregard the drumline. Forget any other fans. Ignore even the game itself. At this small school, Buff the Bison is the biggest show.
They do talk about him and they'll say, Buff was great, Buff. They don't even know who won the game because they're watching Buff.
This creature is every bit a character on the court, though not many can guess who the costume conceals. Few off campus know who's under that cloak. 31-year-old senior Austin Dunning.
They don't see the behind the scenes, the daily life that we live with him. And it's not something that's easily explained.
Austin was born in North Carolina 11 weeks premature.
I've got chill bumps right now. I mean, you would think it had happened just 2 months ago or something because it's something I'll never forget.
He spent 44 days in the NICU and was eventually diagnosed with autism, anxiety, depression, and Asperger's syndrome, meaning he struggles with social interaction and nonverbal communication. Not exactly a recipe for playing a mascot.
When he puts on that headpiece, he becomes Buff, and that is someone, if you will, that's someone different than Austin. That's
right. He blocks everything else out. It's gone.
There is plenty to erase from Austin's childhood.
Tough, stressful.
But it shaped who he is today.
On the first day of high school, some kid picked him up and they stuffed him in one of those tall metal trash cans.
Head first.
I just got a welcome call to high school.
I think that changed Austin. It gave him the determination to do something.
I remember thinking, I don't want to be remembered that for the rest of my life.
Stymied by schoolwork, Austin was always captivated by characters.
We never went through, I'm going to be a fireman, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a character.
It is sad when a school does not have a mascot.
So soon after being bullied, Austin found the courage to become his high school's mascot, Buzz the Hornet. From there, he spent 4 years at Frederick Community College in Maryland as Freddie the Cougar. Then, like any potential recruit, Austin and his mom crisscrossed the country to consider their next options. Eventually, landing at Harding, he's now in his 9th year as Buff the Bison.
I think it's going to be perfect.
Once that headpiece is on, that is truly his comfort zone because everything else goes away. And people just react to him differently as Buff than they do as Austin. I mean, people like Austin, but it's daylight and dark, the difference between Austin and Buff.
I can be angry anytime I want. I can be happy anytime I want. I can be sad anytime I want.
Being Buff the Bison takes a herd. His mom is the mascot coach. In fact, the entire family moved to Searcy to support him.
He's my baby boy. I just want him to be happy.
As a character on the court, his gift is to make everyone around him happy too.
I'm just very thankful that he found something because I can't imagine what he would do if we weren't doing this.
We mentioned this is Austin's 9th year at Harding. It's still probably going to take a few more years to graduate, though he is determined to get that college degree. He's taking 1 class per semester, and in the meantime, playing Buff as well. And so what's his hope once he graduates? He wants to be a professional mascot.
Wow.
You know, maybe for like a minor league baseball team, something like that.
That is the coolest. I mean, and the energy that it takes to be on the field and to perform like that. What an amazing guy.
It's an amazing transformation, what he's like when he's not in that costume versus what he's like when he's wearing that mask.
Makes all the difference. Thank you, Kyle.